This is The Spot, a BYU-Idaho radio production where we talk about what you're talking about at BYU-Idaho. The views and opinions of this podcast are not that of BYU-Idaho Radio or the university and are solely the opinions of the hosts. Today's hosts are
Austin Pace,
Henry Clines,
and Maiya Waddell. Today we're talking about movies and pop culture. All right, guys, I am so excited for this episode today. What are y'all's spot takes regarding this topic?
Okay, so I'm not a big movie guy at all. I do more TV shows. My spot take is more of it's based on a TV show, and I think it's a pretty good one. So I don't know if it's like a hot take, but it is a take. So the last duel scene from Avatar: The Last Airbender with Zuko and Azula is literally the best piece of animation ever put anywhere. I will stand by that with my whole heart. Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. I do like the Avatar: The Last Airbender. I also do enjoy TV shows better, but they have to be comedy TV shows. Okay. I can sit through those so much easier than the action or the detective ones. It's so much easier to just get through and be interested. And they still have a really great story. It's fantastic, but they have to be comedy.
Amen.
So cool. Did you guys like the live action Avatar?
I only watched the first episode. I feel like I need to watch it, but I also have zero drive too, so nah.
Probably because it's not good.
So funny. Well, that's so interesting because I've never seen Avatar, so maybe I need to get into it now that I've heard y'all's spot takes regarding
it's amazing. 100% recommend.
Oh yeah. And since it's winter semester, I know that a lot of people are watching movies and TV shows. That's what my roommates have been doing recently. So we've been watching a lot of classics like the Chronicles of Narnia, and we recently watched Luck as well. Do y'all know Luck? It's the movie that recently released on Apple TV, and it's about a girl who is super unlucky, and then she makes it to this lucky world, and she has to try to help this cat find his little luck coin. It's a really interesting movie, but yeah.
I've never heard of it.
It's a really fun looking movie. So yeah, that's my spot take, is that movie watching in the winter semester is one of the best things to do with people.
Amen.
So I would say
I'll stand by it.
Or TV shows too.
Yeah. It is cold outside. There's really nothing better than just not being cold.
Rexburg has been so cold these past few days.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So I'm just looking through here. Yeah, today's topic is movies and pop culture. I'm excited to talk with you guys about that. It's going to be so fun. And we also did a social media poll, which I will be reading out later in the episode to hear what world everybody wants to live in. So that will be fun to explore. So, are you a pretty big movie pop culture fan?
It depends on what area, what genre.
What genre?
Of pop culture. I think I'm more in the same boat as Austin, where I know a little bit more about TV shows, but I know enough to talk about it. So we'll see how this conversation goes.
It'll be good.
It'll be great.
I think for me, what makes a good movie kind of starts with its actors. So I kind of wanted to go around and start with our favorite movies. So for me, I love Cars. I think Cars is the best movie ever. It's amazing. No debate. Cars is the best movie, hands down. But you got Owen Wilson. That man's amazing. We love Owen Wilson. And we got Larry the Cable Guy. You can't go wrong with Larry the Cable Guy as Mater. So those two voices they're very distinct voices, right? So having those two voices within those movies, I feel like their duo, especially mixed with Mater's comedy, is it's peak, it's top tier, and it's racing. You can't go wrong with it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So Henry, what's your favorite movie and why?
Ooh, that is a tough question. So I grew up with things like Star Wars and Lord of the Rings, and those have always been a long-time classic of mine. Now, granted, I haven't watched them in a really long time. This is kind of going to go against what I said earlier about it having to be comedy. My roommates and I have been watching the Gladiator movies. there's no comedy in there at all, but they're so good. We haven't finished the second one yet because it's just so long, but the acting is fantastic. The scenes, the messages that they're doing it's wonderful. Great. It's fantastic.
So good to hear. Yeah, I would say for me, I really like Star Wars, especially Episode 6 when Vader comes back to the light. It's just one of my favorite movies.
See, this is controversial. This should have been my spot take. Controversial. I think Star Wars is just so utterly mid. I'm not a huge fan.
Really?
Not a big Star Wars fan.
Wow.
But you know what? I know it's amazing to a lot of other people, so
yeah.
I'll respect the opinion. Okay, so like I had a couple of different points I kind of wanted to talk about, starting with actors. So I want to kind of talk about each participant's favorite actor and the effect that casting has on a movie or a TV show, right? So right now, my wife and I are watching The Good Place. She's watching it for the first time. I've watched it multiple times over. I love it. I think it's hilarious. So the creators of The Good Place were also the creators of a new Netflix series called A Man on the Inside. And within that TV show, they really just like copy and paste the characters into both shows.
Oh, wow.
But they kind of keep their similar typecast role, right? So like one of the bad guys on The Good Place plays this crummy character on Man on the Inside, right? Because it fits him. More bubbly character plays a super bubbly character in each. So how do you feel that like, I guess even typecasting or casting has, like what effect does that have on a movie or a TV show?
I think it has a lot to do with it because they embody that character. So if they're just not acting the character at all, it just ruins the show for a lot of people. So I think it really just matters on if they find the right person for the role that can actually embody the character the way that people would imagine that character to be, then I think that's amazing, that's good. But if they just can't, then it probably just ruins the story and people can't watch it.
I think that's an interesting thing because I know there's some people, like my roommate, Sam, he doesn't necessarily enjoy typecasting because you think of like Jack Black or Adam Sandler and those kind of people, like they're always playing the same role in every single movie.
Yeah.
Their entire career, it's always been, Jack Black's always been the comedic character. Kung Fu Panda, School of Rock, those kind of things. Mm-hmm. Granted, it's fantastic. I love his comedy
sure.
movies.
Yeah.
I think what's really neat about like, say Adam Sandler, he's always had that comedy acting role. I forget the name of the movie, but he's started to break away from that. And while these other ones aren't bad, I do think it's good for actors to be able to act in a range of different roles.
100%. It shows like, for me, I'm also not a huge fan of typecasting. Well, I understand why it exists. I'm like, I know that Jack Black could do so much more. Yeah. Right? Of course, he's hilarious, funny guy, but he can do so much more. Like Adam Sandler could do so much more. I think having typecasting or like being casted, like even like within like theater, I was always typecasted as a kid. I played Captain Hook once in a Peter Pan on stage when I was little. And every year after that, or every other show after that, I was always playing the villain, just because like that was one thing I always did. Which it was fun, it was fine. I enjoyed it. I liked being on stage or whatever. But having an opportunity to break away from that kind of opened up like, oh hey, I can actually do other things, right? So maybe sometimes even these actors don't understand that they can break away from that. What do you guys think about that? Do you think that the actors know they can break away from that?
I think that they can. Yeah. I think it's a safe bet for a lot of them to do exactly what's already been working for them over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. Even though that means you already know exactly how the movie's going to go before you even get to the opening credits. Because you see the cast and you're like, okay, this is what happens. But
I believe even Robert Downey Jr. said something about that too. Because I think when he was doing the Iron Man movies, he said that he was basically acting like himself. And I want to say that he didn't enjoy that because he felt like it wasn't really a challenge anymore because he was just walking in and acting like himself. Right. And so I think in the article I read, he was pretty much just saying like he's happy that the movies are over now so he can go do other roles and break out of just acting as himself. So
It's true. He is doing a new role in the new Marvel movies.
Yeah.
So playing Doctor Doom.
We'll
See how that goes.
Yeah. That was actually something when I was doing my research. Robert Downey Jr. was like a huge name that popped up. It was like, hey, no, he's breaking out of like his normal routine, which is, good for him. Good for him, for sure.
For sure.
So I wanted to talk a little bit more now about like streaming and its impact on like cinema. So like you were saying, you just watched a movie on Apple TV, like that just came out on Apple TV, right?
Yes, yeah.
Not in theaters.
No.
So like there's a lot of these new things that are coming out on streaming services rather than in a theater, right? Kind of ruining the movie-going experience. What are you guys thinking about that? I feel like there's a lot more, we'll say critically acclaimed things coming out on like Apple TV, Paramount Plus, those kind of streaming services, and the movies is just kind of going over to the movie theaters, dying down. What do y'all think about that?
I think they have to have a lot of, in a sense, I don't want to say bravery because I don't know if that's the right word, but definitely a lot of trust in the movie that it's going to do well on streaming services. Because I feel like when you're promoting it for a movie theater, it gets people being like, oh, I'm going to go see that in theaters. Yeah. But instead, if they're watching it on streaming services, you're going to have to hope that the movie is good enough and presents itself well enough that someone will say, oh, I want to go watch that. I don't know if that makes sense, but in my mind, I feel like they have to really trust that this movie will do well on streaming services because it is going that way now.
Yeah.
I do love the freedom that streaming services give you in where and when and if you want to pause the movie, I do enjoy the movie theater experience, but it's always been something that's super expensive. But if I'm already paying for a streaming service and I can already watch 100 other movies and TV shows, one more adding to that, it's fantastic. I'm going to be paying for it anyway. So.
Yeah, for sure. So do you guys think that streaming and like the movie going experience, do you think they could coexist? Do you think that we're coming to an end of movie theaters?
I would say for right now it's coexisting for sure. But I think with the way it's going, I think streaming might be the one that leads in the end. Because people are also getting, I hate to say this, but I feel like people are getting lazier. They don't really want to go to the theater. And because the economy is kind of bad right now, everything is just so expensive that people would just much rather buy the premium package for Disney Plus and watch the movies there instead of having to go to the theater. So I think in a way, I think it's, for right now, it's coexisting, but it could end in the future.
Yeah.
I do think it's going on. One thing movie theater has that the streaming services don't is no ads. That bugs the crap out of me. Holy cow. Sorry, side note, but
yeah. I'm kind of with you guys on it. So I really enjoy like just being able to pause a movie or being able to, hey, we're going to start this right now, even though it's 6:18 and they're starting showing at a movie theater until 6:45. Yeah. Right. So I think having the freedom to do that is really nice. On the other hand, though, I love going to the movies. So my parents back at home, they're part of the AMC Stubs list. So AMC, you guys know what AMC is? Yeah. Okay, fantastic. They're part of this AMC Stub list. They get 3 free movies a week for like a base price every month. And you got like the reclining seats, the heated seats. It's super nice. Creates like a really fun movie-going experience. So I think if movie theaters start to like tailor a little more towards that, I think what would do fantastic in Rexburg is having some kind of like membership movie theater where like, hey, you can pay for a single ticket for like what, $15 for a movie, or you pay $25 a month and you get 3 free movies a week. We'll be streaming this movie, because it's all coming out, right? So I think if there is kind of a switch to a membership movie-going experience like AMC's doing, I think movie theaters can still live. Yeah. But it's also really convenient to just plop down on your couch and watch something there, But the popcorn's not as good.
No. That's true. I do that kind of AMC movie experience is going to be only available in cities that actually have an AMC, which is going to be rough because my family lives in Pierce, South Dakota. It's a town of 14,000 people. There's nobody there. The movie theater only has 3 screens. They have the crappy seats. Their popcorn's not even that great. Let's be for real.
Dang it.
It's just not. It's not the classic experience. But the closest I don't even think there's an AMC in South Dakota. So, but like, if you want to get to the big city, that's a 3-hour drive. So like, it definitely dying in like small cities where streaming service is more than likely the only thing that you have. When you don't have a movie theater, you can't really go to one.
And I like the point that you bring up with the ads. The fact that in a movie theater, you just get, if you come early, you see the ads, then you're done. You can just watch the movie.
Yeah.
And I do find it sad that streaming services now are like, let's push ads everywhere, everywhere that we can, so that way we can make that money. And I hate that, because as a college student, it sucks. It really genuinely sucks. So.
And like, you're paying for a service and it's like, oh, hey, you can pay more and we'll take the ads off. I'm like, bruh, I'm already paying for your service.
The whole point of buying a streaming service at first was to not watch the ads that were on cable, and now they've just added ads. It's like,
and some of them are long.
They're long.
I'm like,
and repetitive.
Put 2.5 minutes of ads on my TV show. Homie, gee, this is not cable.
It's like the YouTube ads.
Yes, YouTube ads.
A 5-second ad that you can't skip is so much more annoying than a 30-second ad that you can just skip after 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Prove me wrong.
No, you're right.
Same concept there.
Yeah.
Stop putting ads in the middle of my stuff. YouTube makes sense because that's free.
Right.
That's free.
But like Disney Plus, exactly. Like Disney Plus, Netflix, where you're paying for good quality items and then they just lower the quality and say, oh, we're going to put some ads here and there.
Yep.
No, I can't stand that.
Not a fan.
Netflix already makes enough money every year to make a new Netflix. So they literally don't need any more money.
So kind of next topic, one thing that I also do not like, books. I'm not a big fan of books,
That's crazy.
I know that's like kind of controversial. I don't like books. But book to film, right? There's so many movies that come from books. One thing that's just popping up from the top of my head, Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Right? Or Wonder. And popular line, the book is better.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
I actually heard Brother Isle the other day say the movie was better than the book. I forgot what movie it was. But I was very surprised. I was like, what the heck? That's crazy.
Yeah.
So what are some book to film adaptations that have succeeded, right? That have met expectations? And what are some that you guys feel have failed, that were just absolute garbage?
Ooh. I would say, for one that succeeded, kind of, I would say Revenge of the Sith for Star Wars. Apparently the book came out before the movie, and a lot of people read the book, and when they went to watch the movie, it was mixed reviews, but a lot of people say that Revenge of the Sith is their favorite Star Wars movie. So I would say that it, in some way or another, it did succeed because people really liked Revenge of the Sith and liked the way it ended and everything. But some people just didn't like how different it was from the book. But so I would say it's like kind of a mixed bag. It depends on how you look at it. But it is one of the more well-known movies and did really well for its time. So yeah, I would say that.
Cool. Hey, what do you think?
I think it's really hard to perfectly adapt a book into a movie.
Yeah.
Because a movie, you kind of have a time restriction for the most part, depending on what movie we're talking about, where you can't possibly fit everything in there. And, that automatically makes the book better because you already have everything there. I haven't read all of the Lord of the Rings books, but I do love the movies immensely. They did super, super well in the box office. They still do really good. The image, they don't really do any CGI, not a lot of CGI. Most of it was all makeup. So it still looks fantastic, even on today's screens. But the last book I actually read, this is going to expose me a little bit, but was Percy Jackson in middle school. Okay,
That was
me. That was me. I was the Percy Jackson kid. And then watching those movies, I was like, this is worse than hot garbage. This is worse than dog water. Okay, why did you even make a second one when the first one was that bad?
Yeah,
you completely just side railed every single thing that the book did and every single thing that the characters do.
See, I can understand like with a book to movie adaptation, there's so much detail that the author puts into the book that you can't put on screen, right? And that I can get by. But blatant disregard for like random things that you find in the book. What's the horse guy's name? The main dude at Camp Half-Blood.
I know exactly who you're talking about. I cannot remember for the life of me.
I can't remember his name, but in the book, he's described as a white horse, right? It doesn't matter. I don't care. I'm like, cool, white horse. In the movie, it's a brown horse. I'm like, okay.
Annabeth is supposed to be gray eyes, blonde hair, right?
Yep.
Don't get me wrong. What's her name? What's the actress's name?
I don't know, but I think I know where you're going with it.
Alexandria Daddario.
Yes.
Fantastic. She does not have gray eyes or blonde hair. She has black hair. Complete opposite. So it's like, come on, man.
Yeah. So I think if you get pretty close, I didn't read the Harry Potter books, but I heard that the movies were really, really well done to fit those. What is her name that does that?
J.K. Rowling?
Yes. Didn't she work with the movie?
Yeah.
So like if you have the author working with the movie, you're chilling. I think. From what I heard, Harry Potter on screen followed the books really, really well.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What are some books that you guys would love to see turn into a movie?
That's a hard question because I have not read a book in a very long time.
I can't think of one. Let's see. Yeah, I can't think of one.
I guess I've been reading a little bit more of about a Norse mythology book while we were in Arizona, just because it looked cool and I like Norse mythology. I think it'd be, because we already have like Thor and Loki in the Avengers and in the Marvel universe. I think it'd be cool to see some of those other stories come to life because like they have big characters, they have a giant snake, a lot of monsters. It'd be like a Percy Jackson but folklore.
Yeah. So I'm a weird dude with books, okay? So like, I'm not a huge fan of reading, but when I find a book, I'm gonna read that thing all the way through. But I also like kind of the more like self-help books. Like, I love 7 Habits for Highly Effective People. I loved Atomic Habits, banger books, but I'm also a big biography fan, especially like with the Prophets and Apostles. Love them. There's a book though about Porter Rockwell. If you guys know who Porter Rockwell is, for all of you on Spotify or on YouTube, I don't know who the guy is. He was Joseph Smith's bodyguard, and he has one of the coolest stories ever. He kind of has like a Samson type story, like God was like, hey, don't cut your beard, bro, it gives you power. And like low-key it did. It's amazing. Super cool. His story is amazing. I would love to see like the church do a kind of like a film adaptation of his life, because he doesn't get talked about very much, but the amount of times that he saved Joseph's life is incredible. So I'd love to see like a film adaptation of like him from the church.
That would be really cool. That sparked a thought for me. It's not necessarily a book because it hasn't been like published in a book, but you remember me talking about the guy on YouTube called The Fat Electrician? He talks about war stories and like those stories that typically nobody hears about. I think it'd be really cool to see those put into a movie because they have just one story. It was called The Eager Beavers, and they were a bomber crew, and they were so good at their job and they just didn't listen to the officers at all because the officers are stupid and didn't know what they were doing. They just went and did their own thing. They got grounded, built their own plane, and then went and did like every single suicide mission, came back perfectly fine. Like they did. It's such an amazing story. And there's so many more like that in, just World War II, World War I, Revolutionary War, all throughout history that just people don't know about because, if it were a movie, more people would know about it.
Yeah. For sure. So with that, that'd be kind of a risk, right, to do a movie like that. So do you guys think that Hollywood needs to start making more risks with making original movies? Or should they stick to what they know, doing like redos or finding a book and making it into a movie? Or do you think they need to get more creative again?
More creative, for sure.
Absolutely. I have not been a fan of Hollywood or Disney for a while.
Yeah.
Because, just like you said, there's nothing original. Disney's only been doing a lot of redos of their classic Disney movies, and it's just like they're just not good. They're not. There's no creative energy. There's no. I like the idea of taking a risk is super important because you're not going to succeed if you don't take that risk.
Right. Peak movies were made in the 2000s.
Yes.
Like early 2000s movies, like nobody's gonna know these movies, right? I love them. Movies, Mission Impossible movies, you'll know those ones. Those are amazing. You got Taken with Liam Neeson. Those movies are so good. You got I cannot think. Frequency. That movie's amazing. Like homie's dad dies in a fire. He's a firefighter, and the way the Northern Lights mess with like the radio waves of his old childhood radio helps him connect with his father from the past. Right, it's like the radio waves just hook up perfectly, so he's able to talk with his dad in the past, and he's able to prevent his dad's death, but ends up causing his mom's death in the future. So it's like he's got to go back and fix this whole thing. But it's like, what an original story, right? There's another movie, Vantage Point. That movie is so good. It talks about a bombing from 6 main characters' point of views, and you're trying to figure out what's going on, and it takes you back through each person's point of view of the bombing, and you find something out, like something new every single time. Kind of a cool story, right? It's like having some original ideas would be fantastic nowadays.
There's so many people out there that are brilliant and have those wonderful ideas, and they just aren't given the opportunity to put it out there.
Yeah. And I think it's just because they get so used to that little bubble that they put themselves in, especially Disney, where they could be writing and making so many different amazing stories. Because there are people who love Disney and will share their stories with them, and Disney just chooses to make a Frozen remake or make a Zootopia remake because it's just easier. Right. So.
Okay, so we kind of already have dived into this a little bit, but a cinematic universe, right? So how do you guys think it's like a blessing or a curse? Do you guys think that they're kind of cool, or how has like the Marvel Cinematic Universe popularized that cinematic format?
I enjoyed the cinematic universes. Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Marvel. I think they're fantastic. I think it's so fun to see how the movies interrelate with each other.
Yeah.
And with Marvel, they have this timeline, but the movies that they make now are actually about the ones before this, and they just expound upon each other and really build up this world that you get to see when you take a step back. Star Wars is the same thing. There's this massive universe that they've built, and there's so many cool things, which does give it a lot of opportunity to grow in a lot of different directions.
Yeah.
But I think it's really fun.
Yeah, I would say I really like the way that they expound on each story, and how they make us love these characters a lot, and they're so well written. I love that so much. I think where it starts to become a curse is when they don't let the brand or they don't let the universe breathe. They just keep pushing out. And I think fans get tired of that. They just kind of want it to sit and kind of breathe a little bit before they move on. And I think Disney, especially with Star Wars and Marvel, is that they've been just pushing too much content out. And fans are getting tired of that. At least that's kind of my opinion.
When you push it out too much, it becomes bad content too.
Yes. Yeah.
Bad quality. Plus, you gotta have everybody on the same page when you're making these movies. Because if everybody's doing their own thing, it's like you're trying to do one group project without talking to each other.
Yeah.
And it just turns out a mess.
The last time I watched like a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie was Avengers Endgame.
Oh, okay.
I haven't seen the new Black Panther movie, but I heard it wasn't fantastic. Again, there's another remake, right? There's not anything new original. I haven't watched any of like the little, like Loki or WandaVision or the Falcon, whatever that one was, Falcon and Winter Soldier. I haven't watched any of those because I heard they were just mid.
Yeah, I liked Loki, but the other ones were
Not great.
Not great. They could have been better. They had a lot of potential to be better.
That one's been kind of overplayed, so more of a broken record now, like the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
A lot of people think they should just like can it, right? Say, all right, we're done. You know, it ended fantastic. My thoughts, Captain America's the GOAT, and he's just not there anymore. So I'm like, I have no urge to watch it anymore. So it's been overplayed, in my opinion. Do you think other movie, I guess, franchises should branch out and try something like that? Or do you think we should stick with more of what we got? Take the risk like we were talking about, or play it safe?
Honestly, I think they could take the risk because it could go really well for them, and then it could be the next big thing. You never really know unless you try. So I think if they wanted to, they could just try to not push out the content constantly and just let it breathe once they do something and see how the fans like it. Because if they like it, then there you go. You just got yourself a new show.
I think it depends on the franchise. Some of them are set up a lot easier to do cinematic universes, but I do think it's a great idea to kind of build out your brand a little bit more. Although I do agree that it needs to be paced and it needs to be good quality. It's like there's nothing wrong with waiting a little bit longer for a movie or show if it's going to be good, if it's going to be that good quality, that good storytelling, and if it's going to fit really well with everything else.
Right. So let's say, so for me, when I started watching the Marvel movies, there was a few that had already been out before, and I didn't watch them before. I watched Captain America, very first one. That was the first Marvel movie I watched, right? So I kind of watched them out of order. So for me, I was kind of like jumping in right at the middle, and it made trying to follow the Marvel Cinematic Universe a little bit harder, right? So does focusing on like interconnected storytelling hurt standalone movies?
Yes, I would say so.
It definitely does. Some movies do better. Some of them are really good as standalone movies. Like, let's see, you jumped in at the first Captain America. The very first one?
Very first one.
I think that one's a really good one as a standalone. Even though it's in the middle of the universe, it's actually the beginning of the timeline. So it's like you're really not missing anything because it happened before everything else. Yeah. Like Iron Man, first Marvel movie, fantastic on its own. If they had ended the Marvel Cinematic Universe there, that would have sucked. But Iron Man is still a really good movie in of itself. And you know, they all have trilogies. Everyone has their own little storytelling. I think the way that they did it really well is that Marvel, when you do have a standalone movie that you can watch on its own, but you also have the option to expound upon it in the next trilogy. Let's see, like for Star Wars, I think the first movie did really good on its own, and then they built it out either direction, right? I guess for the prequels, for like all the nerds out there, it only gets really good once you watch like the extra TV shows that they made. Yeah, that's an extra hours upon hours upon hours of watching that you have to put in there to really understand everything that's going on, which doesn't do great on its own, but when you love Star Wars, you watch all of those anyway. So
it's true, because if it's standalone, if it's a really good standalone movie like Rogue One, if we're talking Star Wars, a lot of people loved Rogue One. It was a great standalone movie. But then compared to Solo, which came out and a lot of people really liked Solo from what I've heard. I've only seen Rogue One. But you kind of compare those and at least for the people at Lucasfilm, when they're looking at it, they can kind of see, oh, okay, Rogue One did really good. Let's kind of focus on that, whereas Solo, maybe not so much, because he already had his time to shine in the original trilogy. So I think it just depends.
Okay. So switching more over to like TV shows. This is where I live. I'm all for this, right? Binge watching culture. I have found that for me, so back in the day, right, when we all had cable, good days, right? You would record a TV series and you'd watch the episode the night it came out, and then you'd wait a week for the next episode, right? I had that patience back then. I don't anymore. I cannot I can't wait for, like, especially if it's only a 20 or 30-minute episode. No way can I wait a week to watch the next episode, right? I'm a pretty big, I gotta watch 2 or 3 episodes to be satisfied. Then I can stop and wait for the next day.
Yeah.
Day.
Yeah.
Day. Not week. That's stupid. I'm not gonna wait a week, right? Then I'm gonna find something else. Because streaming is so available and ready to us, we can watch seasons upon seasons of things. We can binge watch, right? So how has binge watching changed how we experience TV shows?
As much as I love binge watching, I'm going to take a little hot topic on this. I think as a society and like our culture has really gone towards, and this is more than just TV shows too, it's just that instant gratification kind of mindset, where just like you said, we aren't as patient anymore. I feel like people use that to fill their time rather when they could be doing something productive. It's kind of like a distraction from the world and things that you need to be doing. Which, as much as I love TV and I love movies, sometimes I do fall victim to that too. You know, I really don't want to go to the gym today. I'm going to go watch my show. So,
you can watch 2 or 3 episodes at a time.
Oh yeah,
and it's not going to air at 7 p.m. Right?
Yeah,
you can watch it
right
now,
whenever you want, episode after episode after episode. You don't have to wait. You just do it now. It's great.
Oh, would you guys then conclude that releasing all episodes at once is better than releasing weekly episode?
Ooh, I think it depends.
Okay.
Some people really get hyped up to wait, and others just want to watch it through. So I think it just depends on the show and what it is.
I think going back to Star Wars, the Mandalorian TV show, I think they did really good at releasing an episode every week because they were longer episodes. They were 30, 45 minutes long. And it was just a good show. I mean, that's like one of the only newer Star Wars pieces that are actually enjoyable, in my opinion. But again, sometimes it depends on the episode length and how good it is.
Right.
If it's worth waiting, just like we said with like expounding on a cinematic universe, if you want to put something good out there, it's going to take a little bit longer. And those that are actually going to enjoy it are fine with waiting a little bit longer for something that's good quality.
Okay, so do you think that maybe those that are people that are creating TV shows can, I guess, reduce the quality of the show and pump out more episodes at once and still keep people connected? Or do you think I'm going to produce the highest quality this many shows in a row and release them all?
I think they already have. And like that's exactly what they do. Is just they pump out episode after episode after episode. Like, how long has Grey's Anatomy been going on?
Too long.
So long, and it's just drowning on. Like there does come a point. There does come a point where you just need to stop. Like the story's done.
Right.
And we said about that for everything else too. A movie cinematic universe, there's a point where it just needs to come to an end.
And I think people start noticing too. Like they notice when the quality drops, and it causes some people to go and review bomb some TV shows or movies, and they'll say like, I noticed the quality drop and it's horrible, and they'll, so like I think the fan outcry is when they start noticing things like that is crazy, because then they'll start commenting everywhere saying this show is horrible, it used to be good but not anymore. And it's just interesting to watch from like over here, watching it all happen and just be like, wow, that was once a good show and now it's not as good anymore because the quality dropped.
You might even notice like some shows, they weren't meant to go for super long, but because they did do so well in those first couple seasons, that they kept getting drug out. Yeah. Like Supernatural. I don't know if you guys have watched that one.
I watched the first like 2 or 3 seasons.
The first half of it were fantastic, and there's 14 seasons now. It just goes on and on and on, and the quality just kept going down and down and down. Like there's, just like we said earlier, there's a point where you just need to call it quits. You're running out of ideas. It's just going downhill.
For sure. Okay, fantastic. Dang, this next topic was going to be so good. I guess you'll never know, world. I guess you'll never know. Okay, so this quiz. There's some softballs. There's some not softballs. Get ready. Maya, you can't look at the answers. You have them.
It's like I'm really bad at swinging, so
Okay.
we'll see how this goes.
Question 1. How many movies are part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Give a ballpark answer, each of y'all.
20.
Okay.
I think there's like 27 now.
27. Are those your final answers?
Yes.
There's actually 34. There are 34 movies. Isn't that crazy?
I was closer to 7.
Okay, here's a TV show one. I didn't even know this until I looked it up. How many seasons of Friends are there?
Oh. 9?
9.
There's not. Is there 11?
You guys are so close. It's 10.
10? Oh,
Yeah, you're one short, one more. Almost there. Okay, this one's a softball. Okay, this one's really easy.
Okay.
Who is the actor that starred as T'Challa in the movie Black Panther?
Chadwick Boseman.
Chadwick Boseman. Guys, dope. Okay, this one might be a softball for you as well. Maya, I don't know about you. I don't know if you've seen these movies. Maybe you have. Maybe I'm crazy. I love them. Okay. Cough break. Who is the actor that wrote, directed, and starred in all 6 of the Rocky movies?
Why am I blanking on his name? Why did you do this to me? It's like, oh, it's... Cat got my tongue. Sylvester Stallone.
Sylvester Stallone. Hot take. He's not a good actor at all. But those movies are so good. I don't know. There's something about them. They're amazing. Okay, this one, not a softball. Which actor said this famous line in cinema? I'm walking here.
Oh, I have no idea.
No clue. I didn't know either. Okay, so this is kind of a cool little backstory. Dustin Hoffman. He said this in the 1969 movie called Midnight Cowboy. But wait, there's more. What's interesting is that the film didn't have enough money to close off a New York City street during filming. So they were like, we're just gonna go with the flow of it all. They shot it what's called guerrilla style, so they literally just had a camera and they were like, just go. Say your lines, we'll try to pick it up as the city's just bustling, right? So as they're crossing the street in this scene, a legit cab almost hits the dude, right? And so in character, he's like, shoot, I'm walking you, right? So he's like saying the line, he's ad-libbing this in character, and the director loved it so much he wanted to keep it in the movie. So like that famous line is actually an ad-lib from a dude that actually almost got hit by a cab.
That's crazy.
Kind of crazy. They're ad-libbed.
Wow.
Yeah. Cool. So I kind of want to know about the results from the poll on Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
I'm really curious.
So the question was, which universe would you live in if you lived in that universe? And 15% said Marvel Cinematic Universe.
15?
15%. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. Yeah.
How many answers were there?
About 196 people looked at it. So
Okay.
yeah. And the galaxy far, far away, 15 votes, 32% of people. Hogwarts, 36%. And Middle Earth, 17%.
Interesting. Hogwarts.
Yeah.
I need to watch those movies. I've never seen them.
Really?
Yeah, never seen them.
Crazy.
They're all right. I think that's definitely the safest option. Let's be for real. I think that's the safest option.
Amen. Well, cool. Next week, we got campus food and local eats. I'm actually really excited about this one. We found a really cool restaurant that I want to talk about next week.
Denny's?
No, but kind of a spotlight. This Saturday's glow in the dark pickleball tournament. So bring a partner, show off your skills at 10 a.m. at the Hart Main Gym. Make sure you just check the Campus Rec website for more on how to participate.
Cool.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. It's been so fun. You've been listening to The Spot, a production of BYU-Idaho Radio. Today's hosts were
Austin Pace.
Henry Clines.
and Maiya Waddell. The views and opinions of this podcast are not that of BYU-Idaho Radio or the university and are solely the opinions of the hosts. Producers were the hosts with supervision by Brandon Isle and Natalia Hepworth. Our theme music is Finding Happiness by DJ Quads and The Perpetual Ticking of Time by Artificial Music. To listen to more episodes of The Spot, like and follow us on social media or visit our website, byui.edu/radio, and click podcasts. Be sure to subscribe to The Spot podcast wherever you get your podcasts and leave a review of the show and leave a comment on what we should talk about next.